We've got some.
Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm Luis.
And you're listening to the Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit. And today, we're bringing them to you so you can take action immediately and start creating real content momentum.
If you'd like to learn more about how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Oh, yeah.
Last episode, we talked a little bit about my personal origin story. Like we said in our Facebook Live, if you didn't check it out, just go on our Facebook where we recorded the first episode live, and you'll see that we mentioned that our origin stories. We have two different origin stories, right? One for him personally, one for me personally. But we also have one together as a business. But in this first episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking about my personal one, that's episode 1. And then we're going to talk about my brother's episode 2, origin story. So, Luis Daniel, just tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are now.
Oh, man. All right. Well, you ready? How long do we have? No, anyway. So, as you might know, if you guys follow us on social media, we are not from the States. We're actually from Venezuela, right? And about 10 years ago, we moved to the United States in search for a better future opportunity. We actually played soccer, and that was our vehicle to come to this country. So we got soccer scholarships, and we started to play. I did in Jacksonville, in Florida. My brother started in Texas, and so on. So I got my business management degree. Entrepreneurship. I always thought I wanted to do something that was not related to a 9-to-5 job. I always wanted to do something else, and that's what kickstarted kind of like the interest. So
can you tell me? Do you remember which one? Like, what point of your life it presented an opportunity to you that you were like, oh, I want to do something else that is not maybe like the traditional path?
Oh, man. I mean, the first time it began, I remember I was probably like 16 sitting on a couch because my foot, like, I got very injured playing. Like, a piece of glass literally like, cut the top of my foot. And at that point, I didn't know if I was going to continue to play soccer.
Not pretty.
And I sat down in this couch recovering for about 3 months while surfing the webs. And I saw a bunch of T-shirts, and I'm like, let's start a T-shirt company. Funny story. We actually ended up starting a T-shirt company, which is not live anymore, but it was a great learning experience. But I think that was the first time I thought about starting something from the ground up, even though I had no idea how to do it.
Yeah, no, so I know me personally, right? I got a little bit into affiliate marketing when I was little just because I was always Googling, how to make more money online. I want to make more money.
Do you think you were like the youngest affiliate marketing researcher out there? Because you were like 10.
I was pretty young, but I do not think I was the youngest. I think there's plenty of stories of these kids that now they started their businesses super young, which honestly, I wish I would have done that. But hey, we're here now.
We're here.
And this is our moment. So keep telling me a little bit about your background, right? How you got here.
Yeah, so after college, I always had that idea that I was going to start something of my own, but I did not know what. So I took this job with this amazing guy, took us in, and it was related to soccer, right? So we came out of playing soccer, and now we're coaching soccer. We ended up running our program for 30 schools around the city, which was pretty awesome. We got to see the logistics behind that, and we were able to coach kids from 2 to 6 year olds. So a lot of patience, and my brother talked a little bit about this in the last episode. But my role there was basically go in, identify new schools, go sell the program to the schools, and then go sell the program to the parents in that school. Something that was really cool and intimidating at the same time is that I had to sell. And in college, I did not know, I did not gain the ability or the knowledge on actually how to go and sell a product or service.
Was this your first experience selling some sort of service and product? And if so, what do you think it was your personal, right? Like the beliefs that you have at the moment about selling and how it affected your job?
Yeah, good question. So yes, it was definitely the first experience ever. And I was terrified of it. I was like, okay, so just so you guys have an idea, if we were going to sell to a school, I had to go walk in there, right? Go past the first receptionist, right? Into the headmaster director's office, and then try to sell them on this program that we were gonna have 10 to 15 kids per class, 2 to 3 classes per day, 1 day a week, right? And then they will take a part of those commissions and so on, and that we will start a relationship. So at first I started going to the business with the business owner, and it was kind of cool because he had the way, so I got to see that. But then at the other side, when he's like, dude, I have no time, you're literally hired to do this, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, let's try this out. So I will hit 5 to 10 schools a day, and I was basically terrified. I wish I had some alcohol before going into the school. Just take a shot and like, okay, I'm ready. But yeah, I mean, the belief, it was like I did it. First off, I didn't think I believed in the program enough. Not because it wasn't good, but because it maybe my ability to sell it, right? And nowadays we see that in a lot of businesses that we work with. They're very scared of actually selling their products to their dream client.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned right now, like you weren't confident enough. I think that point is key because, I mean, you gain confidence through knowledge, like we didn't know anything about selling, right? So we didn't have that confidence in us, but at the same time, you need the confidence in the product, right? Like, do you actually believe what you're selling is the solution to the problem that you're tackling, right?
Yeah, totally agree. And it was funny because after we were able to sell to the school, then we will have these days where we will show this service, right? We will show how we train these kids. And the program was really awesome because we were able to maintain the attention of these 2 to 6 year olds for a full 30 minutes. And, considering now the attention span of a human being is less than a goldfish, it's like less than 8 seconds, and all these frameworks and structures come down to, all the marketing that we're doing. Maintaining that attention is great on itself. So that's a great selling point. But at the time, we were not able to communicate that effectively with their parents. So we can sell a $30 monthly membership, which at this point is nothing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's when you see the price, when you relate the price to the service and the problem that you're tackling, like it shouldn't be a problem. Like if you guys have heard about Myron Golden out there, he has a saying, like if the value that you're offering is like this, no matter what the price is, if it fits inside, you're gonna be able to sell it, right? And you need to believe that. You need to believe that to be able to sell it. So we deviated a little bit about the topic. So just tell me a little bit, in your journey to where we are right now. What were some of your struggles going through it?
Yeah. So fast forward, time for me was a big deal, but because I had that full-time job, but at the same time you started, pursuing also the entrepreneurial journey. And we ran across this opportunity to start a social media agency. And at the time, it was probably the biggest expense or investment, right, that we were going to do. For us it was just $1,000, right? But at the time was like, oh man, like we have no $1,000. That was like, 3 times my paycheck. It was like, I need food. And we ended up investing in it. We ended up putting it on a credit card. And it paid off because it was totally worth it. Do not regret doing it. Even though I did not finish the course itself. Yeah, what happened? So it was like, it kickstarted something where we will go and we took action and we sold this social media product that at the time we were like, okay, what are we good at? We're good at taking pictures with the phone. So perfect, let's go do that. And we kind of targeted the restaurants. But at the same time, that was like a very part-time thing for me because I was working at that point. I moved on to a different job in the fitness industry, right? So I was working with a high-end fitness studio, running day-to-day operations, being the studio manager, and on the free time was helping my brother run this thing. And I remember even on the fitness studio, my highest ticket was about $159 membership, almost $200 membership, and it also taught me a lot about sales. And then we were gonna go sell this service of social media, and I think we started with like $500 a month.
Yeah.
But the main topic there was like, let's showcase your food, let's showcase your environment to your clients, right? So we started kind of nibbling a little bit on that marketing side.
Yeah, we didn't really know any sales psychology, right? And I mean, honestly, a lot of marketing, it has to do with sales psychology. You know, how do you present your offer to the prospects? And we just were going off of what we were looking at on Instagram at the moment, which were the pretty pictures and the pretty food pictures, right? So you mentioned that. So keep going with your struggle on that moment, right? Like we priced.
Thank you for labeling struggle.
we were pricing our services $500. Then what?
So basically what we offer, we were like, okay, you guys are paying this amount of money to be on a magazine that you're not able to track anything, right? And then we're perfect. We can do that on social media, and you are able to track all the impressions that people are seeing. And this is very early. Think about maybe 4 years ago, I think, where ads were not that crazy as it is right now, as we're recording this podcast. But we started to see a lot of friction with the clients and what we were offering. And, you know, at the end of the day, on the back end, they did not have a fulfillment system. And with restaurants is a little bit more complicated. So we started identifying who was our dream client at that point internally for our company, right? So what we did is like, okay, you know, what do we know best? We know the fitness industry because at that time I was there for a year and a half now. We're familiar with how we work. We have people that are not scared to be in front of a camera. Let's actually start working with some of these fitness studios. Yeah. So we actually got hired to test kind of some strategies in one studio in the city that we're in. You know, the network that we were at the moment had about 10, and you know, if it went well, then we will move on to the rest of the studios. And what's cool is that we started discovering a lot of frameworks as far as like content creation, how your mind works in front of a camera, and we started just testing, putting just content out there. But it was very hard to kind of track that on the sales side. And you know, as you know, our podcast is called Content is Profit. So how can you turn that content into profit? So at the end of the day, the conversations that we're having with different business owners is like, how is this investment that I'm doing in either paying you guys as an agency or my time creating this content, how is that gonna, you know, be on the flip side? How is that gonna turn into the profit that I need for my business, right? So we were like, we don't know.
Yeah.
We had no idea.
That was definitely a struggle.
So the real answer was like, let's chat in like a week and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. At the moment, we had no idea. We pretty much were let's figure it out as we go, right? And which, honestly, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you can deliver results.
Yeah,
right?
we were delivering the results that we promised them that we were going to. Yep. But at the end of the day, every conversation was leading towards how is this helping my business, right? So there's obviously different value points there. You know, you create rapport with your dream client. You can get new dream clients. You can create interactions. So it depends on what the goal is for the business. Then you can adapt your content. At the time, we were just working with social media. And as you guys will know, content is not just for social media, is a lot of stuff. And we call it publishing, right? Because it's a lot of different platforms. And then how can that overall strategy can help us out? So, well, the conversation that we started having with these businesses was, hey, my marketing agency, I'm paying all this money for leads, right? For people that want to buy my service. And then the business will come and they're like, but those leads are not quality, right? So the agency is giving them leads and the business is complaining that those leads are not quality leads because they're not closing. So there's a lot of elements there and there was a disconnect. So we started seeing a lot of people that we were having conversations with and we're like, oh man, how can we solve this? And I think the moment of clarity for me was at the beginning of 2019. We ended up going to a very big conference down in Miami and we heard speak two guys, Russell Branson and Ryan Dice. And, you know, whatever you think about them, what they said in that moment opened my eyes because it was a solution to the problem that we were having. So they had that conversation of, hey, what about an omni-channel process where marketing, right, is the beginning of your sale, right? And at this time, think about my background is almost 3 years of selling stuff. So I knew a little bit about it. I knew about the process. I knew how to have conversations with people. But how can you put that in a system where instead of marketing being one thing and then sales being a different thing, they kind of merge together and marketing becomes the first step to the final sale. So we were like, oh, that is what we need to do. And we actually looked across and we were like, yeah, that's what we need to do. And we came back to Jacksonville and we're like, hey, how can we develop something like this, right? And then our heads kind of started spinning.
Yeah, so
that was the beginning.
Tell me a little bit after that conference, right? I mean, that was a huge turning point for us. That was actually the second time we invested in ourselves after the social media agency course. That was just the second time, and it was our first time at a live event.
Yep.
Which was an amazing experience. But tell me a little bit more about when we heard them talking about that, right? About marketing and sales through one channel. What plan did we come up with, and what was the conflict that we're starting to see with some of our clients?
So after we came back from that conference, we're like, hey, dude, let's dive in, right? So we started like researching these guys like crazy, and we discovered that the main tool that they were using, it was something called a funnel, a sales funnel. And for those that are not familiar with sales funnel, they're present everywhere. It's just online. It helps them a little bit better. But it's basically if you put some people at the top and then they trickle down at the end of the funnel, and they turn into a sale, right? So there might be some people that are going to fall off, that are not going to buy, and so on. So it's a very streamlined process. And we started comparing it with different websites. So we're like, hey, this website is a shop, but it confuses your client. It confuses it. So this actually makes that process a lot easier. So we're like, that is the solution, because all the content, whatever you're publishing, all your ads should lead to these amazing MVP sales funnel.
Yeah. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're trying to say is we started going to clients and telling them like, hey, you need a funnel, right? Because the funnel is going to pretty much streamline your marketing and your sales. But then we ran into some issues, right? When building the funnels. What was it?
Yeah, it became really challenging because each funnel has different pieces. So we will come to the office and we're like, perfect, let's do this funnel, right? So, oh shoot, for the funnel to work, we need an email marketing campaign. Then we need to drive traffic. So we see it as Lego pieces, right? So there was a base, there was a second piece, and they built upon each other. And we started customizing a lot of our work, and it was really challenging to do that because when you start customizing, all the clients or the people that you work with have their own idea on how their system should work. So we started encountering a lot of friction with the people that we were selling our service to. So we decided after a lot of friction, to continue our investment in our personal development and business development, and we ended up with a program that is designed to kind of narrow down what we do, right? So we went out on this sales meeting with also, it was another fitness studio. I think it was a yoga studio at the time. And I don't know if you remember this, FONZI, but I remember very clearly this person is like, okay, that sounds awesome. The whole funnel and thing, and the more sales and it's great. But, and I hate it, buts.
Yeah, the buts are never fun.
The buts are never fun. Depends on what butt you're talking about. Whatever.
Whoa! We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Okay.
Whoa.
So, anyways, so this person is like, amazing, it's great, the system, I love it. Like, how can we do it? But at the same time, what I want to do is I want to do this video that I saw that is very similar to Apple versus Microsoft. And we're like, okay, that's great, but what is the purpose of that video? What are we gonna be doing with a video? And the person was like, I don't know. Well, perfect. That can go to traffic. And at the end of the day, we sat down. We're like, maybe this is not what we want to do, or maybe we're not framing it correctly, right? So we sat down and we're like, okay, how can we narrow down all the conversations are driving into content, into publishing? Let's actually focus on that. So with all the experience that we had combined, almost 10 years in this marketing sales space, we started noticing a lot of the patterns and the frameworks that very successful people in the industry were doing. Not just marketing and sales, but people that are grabbing those frameworks and applying to every other industry. So it was pretty cool because we started seeing patterns out there of the way that they publish, the way that they create their content, and the way on how they can direct their dream customer that people are watching that content to their offer, to what they're selling, to eventually provide them with a ton of value.
Yeah. So after we pretty much saw these people doing that, right, and we started with learning even more from them, what do you think, throughout your journey now, we are like the present moment right now, what we're doing, content is profit, right? Like, in your own point of view, what is the achievement that we got after all this journey?
Yeah. So I think right now we have a pretty awesome system that allows you to first create and deploy the content strategy. And when I say content, guys, remember, it's not just social media, right? Content and publishing is from social media to blogs, to emails, to podcasts, to ads, all this. And how can, your time can be very effective. And how can you do this very quickly? Because time is very valuable. And my phone just died. We're recording this live, but I guess the live people have to go to the podcast to continue.
Or they're going to see us sideways.
Or they're going to see us sideways. Anyways. Where was I?
they're actually seeing us sideways right now. So you were talking about the achievement throughout your journey, right? Like, what do we achieve now with Content is Profit? What do we have now, in our hands?
Amazingness. So we created a 6-week course. It's a 6 weeks masterclass on where we teach all these marketing frameworks and strategies to help any business. Specifically, right now we're working with fitness businesses on how can they effectively create this massive publishing machine that eventually is going to lead them to the frictionless sale. So Correct. It is a sale that is very easy to the public. And, if you have been in the fitness industry, you'll see, or any business really, like that customer that walks in and knows exactly what they want to buy. And they're like, here's my money, here's my credit card, take it all, and then give me your product, right?
That's our goal, rather. We want to deliver more of those to your business. We want to get rid of all the objections, everything before they come in. We want them to be 100% sure, or the closest they can be to 100% sure to buying your product once they get in your doors.
Yeah. So it was funny, like and I know that we're running low on time and we're almost done for today, but we went to this event, and the event was a live event with 600 people. And the guy that was speaking, he sold that night $1.6 million. And he attributed his success in a year and a half of being in business and achieving that to publishing.
Yep.
And that was my second light bulb. That's like, here's what it is. We need to dive in.
Yeah, this is the Lego piece we need to focus on.
This is the Lego piece we need to focus, and this is the Lego piece that completes our journey and now is allowing us to help so many other businesses so they can achieve that frictionless sale.
Yeah, and I think since content has been part of our journey since the beginning, and now we've learned so much that we can apply it to the new content strategy that we do. I think it's a beautiful thing when we actually saw that happen, him selling from stage $1.6 million, because we're like, you know what, if he can do it, I'm not going to say everybody can do it, right? But like, if he can do it, that means, and not only, because he's not the only one, there was another one that sold $3-something million from stage, and because they published consistently, they managed to get all those people's attention. So that is key, guys. If you want people's attention, you want people listening to you, you need to be consistent in your publishing. You need to have structures, right? So if you have any questions, go to contentisprofit.com, drop us any question you may have, and we would love to answer it. Also, we are doing this in Facebook Live. If you missed it by any chance, just go in there, give us your feedback. We want to know how we can make this podcast better. Give us your questions so we can answer them, right? We thrive of answering your questions. We love to help as many people as we can. So guys, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, one last thing, guys. Again, If you have any questions, contentprofit.com. If you want to check out the entire content, go to our Facebook, BIZBROS Co. Instagram, Luis D. Camejo.
Oh, we just started
FONZI
TikTok
Camejo,
too. We started TikTok.
TikTok. Check us out. Answer questions, whatever. Ask anything.
All right, guys.
Let's do it.
See ya.
Bye.